presents a new upcoming class. Stay tuned. Sacred Bonds by Daryl Abdullah Kirk. Yes, Sacred Bonds, navigating the depths of Muslim matrimony and the family. You don't want to miss this one. Please stay tuned. Streaming on all major platforms right here on Sunnahfollowers.net.
Wa salat wa salam ala wa Rasulullah. I'd like to welcome everybody to our class on the sacred bonds of marriage. The sacred bonds of marriage. And tonight what we're going to discuss is how marriage is a partnership based on having the interests of the other party at heart. Okay, and let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen. And this is chapter, for those of you who have the book, which I hope everybody does, you want to make sure you order the book from Amazon. It's called Sacred Bonds by my student, Brother Daryl Abdullah Kirk. And tonight we're going to be covering chapter 18 of the book, which addresses how, as Muslims, it addresses how, as Muslims, we're going to have to understand that marriage is a partnership. And being that it's a partnership, it's going to take understanding and selflessness and growth from both parties, from the husband and the wife. Okay? And this is chapter 18 of the book. So for those of you who have the book, you can go to chapter 18 and follow along with me. And we have to understand that as Muslims, our Islamic teachings elucidate the complementary nature of gender differences. In other words, I know they use these big words. I don't know why. Our Islamic teaching details to us as Muslims that women and men are created equal. However, there are gender differences about us. Okay? We have distinct biological differences. And not only do we have biological differences, but we also have psychological differences too. For example, men are less emotional than women are. We women are more emotional than men are. And on the other hand, we women can control our desires better than men. So Allah created us different, but even though we're created differently, we still complement each other. Remember, Allah, He perfected us and He created us in His image. What does that mean? He created us the way He wanted us to be, the way He viewed for us to be complementary to each other. And because of the differences we have biologically and even psychologically, this is how, if you find the right mate for yourself, we can stay with that person forever and help each other in our journey back to Allah. So as Muslims, we're taught to embrace our differences, not to sit there and put each other down because of our differences, but instead we have to embrace those differences because by embracing them, this is how we each can bring a unique set of strengths, and we each can bring a unique set of attributes to the table where we can live together, successfully in this world. Listen to what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. He said, women are the twin halves of men. What does that mean? That emphasizes the equity of women and men in the framework of marriage. We complement each other. You know, we help each other. We're there to support each other through our mutual respect, our mutual appreciation, and our acceptance of each other's differences. We can navigate the complexities of life together. That's what this means. It's not putting women down. Allah is not saying that women are inferior to men, nor is Allah saying that men are inferior or superior over women. You know, men are superior over us because of their strength. Allah has given them that physical strength that we don't have. And also their ability to control their emotions better. That's why they are the rulers over us women. They are the leaders over us. And that's why together we form a cohesive unit, united in our pursuit of growth and spiritual fulfillment. Okay, does everybody understand that? So marriage is a partnership. Your husband is not a master over you. Your wife is not a slave for you. Your husband is your partner. Your wife is your partner. We're partners in crime together. We're partners till death do us part. And we share together our growth spiritually. And together, guided by Allah and His laws and His rules, we journey through this world together. That's marriage, guys. And again, I want you brothers to ponder this. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, the best of you are those who are best to their wives. The Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was good to all his wives. He made each and every wife feel special. He didn't favor one over the other. Even though everybody knew that amongst the women that were living, Aisha was the one he loved the most. He didn't treat her any differently than he did the other wives. He spent the same amount of nights with her that he spent with them. If he bought for one, he'd buy for them all. You know, he didn't favor her the way a lot of you brothers do. When you have more than one wife, you will spend more time with one. You'll call and check on one, but you neglect the others. That's not how our prophet was. So this hadith serves as a timeless reminder of the importance of being selfless. In other words, not being selfish. You have to sacrifice yourself for your wives, like our prophet did, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? And also in the Quran, Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning, those who have believed and those whose hearts are assured by the remembrance of Allah, unquestionably by the remembrance of Allah are the hearts assured. This verse of the Quran highlights that true contentment and true peace of mind can be found through remembering Allah. That's why we talked about how it's important before we get married, when we're looking for a spouse, that you want to first of all make sure that you marry a religious spouse, a spouse that understands Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. In other words, the lordship of Allah. Because that person will put Allah first and foremost. And because of that person's love for Allah and fear of his or her punishment, they're going to fulfill their duties and obligations the way Allah commanded. Also in another verse of the Quran, Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning, indeed, those who have believed and done good deeds, Allah will appoint for them affection. This verse lets it be known, guys, that when we do marry and we do the obligations, perform the obligations, and give each other the rights that Allah has imposed upon us, Allah will cause us to love each other. Oftentimes, when you get married, you may not be in love with the person. You may like the person, But oftentimes love comes later. It's when you see how nice and kind the person is to you. That's why that movie, Beauty and the Beast, has always been popular. She was married to a beast, an animal, a horrific, scary looking animal. But she grew to love him because of how he treated her, how he championed her, how he indulged her. She ended up loving him. And that's what Allah is saying here. You know, when we do the good deeds, obey Allah, fulfill the obligations he's imposed upon us, then he will appoint for us love in our hearts for each other. Subhanallah. That's why it's important to marry a righteous woman, a righteous man who's going to fulfill their obligations. Also, we have another verse in the Quran where Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning, everything that is on earth will perish, but what will live forever is the face of Allah. So we have to keep in mind that, you know, Allah, everything begins with and everything ends with him. If we keep it in our conscience that whatever choices, whatever decisions, whatever actions we indulge in this world, we're going to have to answer to Allah for them, that'll cause us to think twice as to how we're fulfilling our obligations to each other. So selfishness, selflessness is something that we need in order to have a successful marriage. Don't expect your wife to do it all for you, but you do nothing for her. Don't expect your husband to do it all for you and you do nothing for him. We have to be willing to sacrifice ourselves to please Allah. I'm doing for you what Allah commanded me to do for you because I love Allah first and foremost, and I want him to be pleased with me. And because I'm doing it, you in turn are loving me. And because you are loving me, I love you too. Subhanallah, y'all see how it works? That's selflessness. I hear a lot as a daya about how a lot of people get married and the woman does all the sacrificing. The man does nothing but the bare minimals. Or the man does all the sacrificing and the woman does nothing but the minimals. No, we are a partnership. We have to work together at this. And selflessness does not mean self-neglect either. You have to take care of yourself. That's why I'm always on you sisters about how y'all look. That's why I'm always telling you sisters, y'all got to stop thinking that because you a woman, you're a slob. You got to cut them dreadlocks out. Dreadlocks are haram. Don't no man want to come home from a hard day at work to look at some Godzilla, Medusa looking nasty woman when he done been around beautiful Kaffir women all day who got their hair hanging down to their butt or their hair styled and their legs showing and you walking around looking like Godzilla. You have to take care of yourself. It's imperative for us, both parties, the husband and wife, to strike a delicate balance between self-sacrifice and self-care. I'm going to sacrifice for you and give you the best of me, but I'm going to also have my me time to make sure I am at my best to give to you. Y'all see what I'm saying? That's how you women need to think. You know, I'm going to be at my best so I can give to you. That's why I tell you, sisters, go out and get your hair done. Go to the beautician. Don't sit there and, you know, pay them $85 or however much it costs. Go get your hair done. Get your nails done. Get a pedicure. You know, subhanAllah, get a facial. You need to start those facials when you're 40. Get a facial. Take care of yourself. Wear nice clothes around the house. Get you some nice lingerie. Subhanallah. Listen to what Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning, and women have rights similar to men over them in kindness. You brothers have to give up the money. You want your wife, you know, to look good for you. You want your wife to be attractive. Give up the money. Be kind to her. Allow her to go get her hair done. Allow her to go get a manicure, pedicure. Allow her to have that me time for herself so she can better herself. First of all, for Allah, and then for herself, and then for you. Subhanallah.